Joe Biden dropped out of the presidential race. Does that mean that the market is going to drop or skyrocket? Here is the truth about presidents and day trading, guy. This is the scary, scary truth that nobody really wants to talk about because nobody on YouTube wants to get canceled, or they don't want to rile up their community that is on one side political spectrum versus the other side of the political spectrum, right? And here is what that truth is. Are you ready for it? It does not matter who's in office if you're a day trader. On the macro, okay, there are a few things that will affect the market. Now, I'm an auction trader. I think of the market as a double-sided auction, right? So buyers are competing with each other and sellers are competing with each other. What do you mean, Forrest? Well, let me give you a simple example, an example that I use all the time, okay? Actually, we'll mix it up a little bit. We'll talk about houses. I want you to imagine that somebody bought a house for $200,000 maybe 10 years ago, right? This should be pretty easy to imagine because the housing market has been on a tear, right? Somebody bought a house for $200,000. That house is now worth $950,000. Now, if I go to that person, right, and I ask them, what are the compelling events that would make you sell that house, right? What would cause you to possibly gain or lose money on that house? Now, if a new president comes in, it's probably not going to affect their local residential market much, if at all. Real estate is very much zip code by zip code. I know this for a fact. I've been investing in real estate for over a little under a decade now. I'm 33. Yeah. I bought my first sixplex when I was 25. Okay. Commercial property, commercial loan, started that. It was scary. And then it did a few deals after that. I'm still passively invest in real estate today. The point is, there's a few levers that will affect how much that person would make on their property, right? Interest rates, right? So the interest rate is going to affect the leverage for a buyer. But for a seller, right, they're simply looking at the difference between their basis, how much they got it for, and what the current market rate for their property is, right? Which in this case is, what did I say, $900,000, whatever it is, right? So there's a lot of money on the table for that individual. Who the president is does not affect their market. Now, okay, interest rate changes, things like that can affect the economy, but that's controlled by the Fed, okay? Now, the Fed and the relationship between the Fed and the president, and there's a whole bunch of politics there. But again, the actual auction, the market itself, the only thing that affects that are its participants. Okay, same with the secondary car market, right? Or think of a car dealership or something like that, right? The thing that actually affects those markets are, moving on a much faster pace than whoever is in office. And if you actually look at the chart, maybe it's NQ, ES, and you're trying to figure out what is going to happen on a macro scale if, whether it's Kamala Harris is pulled in, or Donald Trump wins, or, the Dems pick somebody else, because who the heck knows what's going to happen at this point? Because the day I'm filming this, he literally just dropped out. It doesn't matter, guys. It does not matter, right? If somebody is up 400 points on a $4 million trade and there's a bunch of selling pressure because that person's exiting their position, that has nothing to do with who's president. It's because they're up 400 points. The inverse is true, right? If there's a bunch of sellers who are trapped and we come down to, capture those trapped sellers, and they're all trying to get out, right? So they're quickly buying at break even, and that adds a bunch of liquidity into the market. That has nothing to do with who is the president, okay? If we hit a macro trend line, which is really just a regression of the auction, right? It's just looking at the mass behavior of buyers and sellers. People think TA is a bunch of BS, but trend lines, the reason trend lines work is because humans are more or less just bees, and we all buzz, right, to the stupid cyclical things, right, all the time. You can see it on the charts. Believe it or not, it happens, right? Trend lines work, right, for whatever reason that they do work. And again, it doesn't matter who's the president in that case either. None of those things. The market is not affected by who's in the office. Now, at least for day traders. On the macro, of course, yes. Okay, there are laws that can get passed by the president. Ultimately, remember, laws are written in Congress, though. The office of the executive has limited powers to actually quickly affect the economy, which is a whole other reason why you shouldn't really worry about it. Obviously, culturally, socially, there are huge implications for whoever's in the office of the president. I personally think that the office of the president is a moral office. It is a standard. We're basically saying, hey, this person is the leader of the free world, and they represent the ideals of our people. And the person that we elect to that position should stand by that criteria. But I'm just one guy. I'm just one guy on your screen out of over 300 million Americans. So who cares what I think, right? That's what the democratic process is for. We vote, and if it doesn't work out, right, if everything goes to crap, we elect somebody else. The point of this video, which honestly I debated even making, is that if you're a day trader, if you're somebody who just started day trading, do not get lost in the hype, the hoo-ha of this election cycle. Okay, there is infinite opportunity in the stock market, and it is within your grasp. The ball is in your hand, right? And the fastest way, the absolute fastest way that you can drop the ball is if you start worrying about the office of the president. And I say this for people too who have that spirit of activism. Okay, I totally get it. Trust me, I get it. I'm a black guy in this country. I'm a very proud black man. For my white people watching and people of other backgrounds and ethnicities, maybe that doesn't mean anything or make sense to you, but we all have a background and culture that is going to drive our decision making right at the polls. But I think something we can all agree on is that money runs this country. Okay, and as a day trader, we have a huge opportunity to make money. So if we really, really, really want to, enact the change that we all care about, focus on winning, focus on making money so that you can make a change. Whether you agree with that or not, hey, that's up to you. That's just what I believe. But nonetheless, again, the message here, the core message here is stay focused, stay on your business. There's no excuse, right? If you say, oh, well, I haven't been journaling for 2 weeks because I'm depressed because of the news cycle. I'm so afraid if Donald Trump gets elected president. I'm so afraid that the Dems are going to do blah, 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 blah. Hey, that's just what we call an excuse. Because while you're losing, I'm going to be over here winning. Okay. Take this message to heart, guys. Keep your heads up. Keep your head held high. Okay. America's going to be fine. It may not be easy to keep it fine, but we will be fine. We will all collectively do whatever it takes to make this thing keep running. But in the meantime, you got to keep your P&L running. Cannot pour from an empty glass. My name is Forrest. I invest in stuff. See you in the next video.